with the Chicago Bulls pretty much running it back, how much time did you give Billy Donovan before you say, hey, dog, it's you? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you know what you clicked on, you know who I am. It's your boy P Kid. The name is there. Let's get into the video. Right now, I have always been of the ilk that we have the talent, but the coaching has a lot to be desired. Now, here's the thing. The coaches can put a game plan together, but it doesn't mean that they can get the players to perform. I personally don't feel like it was a performance issue. Pause. Like, I don't think that was an issue for the Chicago Bulls. What I really think it was is pretty much buying into this system that Billy Donovan was trying to create and how he was trying to go about grooming these players. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take it a couple steps. Let's break this down brick by brick. Realistically, Billy Donovan had a whole lot of, I'm going to play with this lineup, see what works, this, that, and the other. And one of the things I know from players I've actually spoken to in the league, from players who I know who play college and professional basketball overseas, is that type of in and out of a lineup, not really knowing, not having any continuity right there, really does affect how your team gels and how your team performs. That is a consistent thing. And if you don't believe my particular sources and whatever, and I don't care if you do, but you could actually go on YouTube. You can hear a lot of professional players talk about how those changes really impact at least the chemistry on the floor and how they're trying to go off and get things done and contribute to the winning column. Billy Donovan had a lot of that. Some of that was his own experimentation as to who's going to do what. Some of it was a combination of certain players not stepping up, players not coming into their own as soon as we would like them to be. And a lot of times it was due to injury. We can't sit there and deny that. We got the injury bug kind of early. It hit us at a time where we had Zach Downs, Lonzo's been out. You see what that situation's like. We had Javonte Green, who was out, who was giving up some nice sparks off the bench. We had some ebbs and flows with that. Point guard situation was up and down. Didn't know who exactly was going to play the point. You're trying to figure a lot of things out. So I don't necessarily blame Billy Donovan. I actually have a video about a couple months ago that kind of gave him some leeway. Like, hey, that's a lot to deal with and contend with, especially when you don't know, you don't have a lot to go off of. But then there was a string and a stretch of time where it was like, all right, cool, we got everybody here. This is who we rocking with. This is what we doing. Why does that lineup not match up? Or why does this situation doesn't seem to be well coached and orchestrated? Like, what is that situation? Now, this is from the outside looking in. I can't sit there and speculate on everything else. But you can't tell me that you all didn't sit there and watch those games. Like, hey, dog, that lineup don't work. Like, I'm not a coach, but I know ball. Like, I know he see what I see. He got to see it better than me. He on the floor. I'm watching it on the screen. He got to see that this don't work, right? I know the better vantage point got to mean that it makes more sense to him that this don't work. But sometimes we didn't get that type of vibe. Sometimes it felt like he was sticking with this game plan and trying to work through a process, which is true. Sometimes that is what you have to do to develop your team and to develop your pieces. But sometimes it's like, hey, dog, that's not working. Hey, skip this clipboard. I don't know what you're talking about. This is not working right now. You need to start putting hey, chill. And we really didn't see that until we had a Patrick Beverly, which it's kind of a double-edged sword here. One, it goes to show you what a point guard can do for your team, right? And that's where I give Billy kudos, because it's like, okay, I see Pat Bev trying to do a little more of what, needs to be done and really trying to buy in and get the people to buy into what he's trying to get them to do. I can see that. But then there's also a moment where you sit there and you say, hey, dog, Patrick Beverly is known as not only a very vocal person, he's also known as someone who will sit there and be like, hey, coach, that don't make sense, and make adjustments on the fly. There's reports of him doing it. He has his own podcast where he'd be like, hey, coach, nah, I don't think he's known for having his own playbook. Or his own set of things that adjustments that need to be made, meaning he goes and he does the work on his own. So what we're saying is, although he may not have the natural ability as some other greats in things of that nature, from a basketball mind and the tenacity and how he approaches the game, his work ethic is a top tier work ethic from what his peers say. So at that point, it begs the question: How much of this of the continuity that we saw was just Pat Bev's like, hey dog, we ain't doing that. You know what to do. Like, I'm gonna put you in position to do that versus Billy Donovan actually going out there and coaching well. And when you have questions like that, it makes you sit there and wonder, is it really Billy Donovan's is it really on Billy Donovan? Like, is Billy Donovan really the guy to help lead this team to where we need to go? And I've always said this. I felt like Billy Donovan can do a good job with the younger talent. I don't know how he necessarily handles larger egos. And everyone to sit there talk about the Russ thing and stuff like that, how that I still sit there and say, when you have players of that caliber, a lot of times you just let them do what they do. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it equates to winning basketball. You're going to win some games. It's like the David Blatt. David Blatt for Cleveland did a really good job and is a really good coach internationally, actually, and stuff like that. But he wasn't a coach for Cleveland. And they got him up out of there. And boom, look at what happened, right? It kind of is like that. It's like, are you the guy? I think he's the guy to help us improve. He's the guy to help us get over a certain hump, like not being an eighth seed in the league. But he's definitely not the time. Definitely not the coach to get us into a contending thing. Now, this doesn't mean that he can't grow as a coach. It doesn't mean he can't change as a person. But it means that right now, if we have to put it on a time clock right now, I don't know if he's going to be that coach to help us get to where we want to be as Chicagoans and Bulls fans. But I want to hear your thoughts, though. I want to hear what you think. I want to hear ultimately how you feel about whether or not Billy D is that person. I can't believe I just said Billy D, not Billy D Williams. We calling about Billy Donovan, right? Like, we talking about whether or not he has what it takes to actually get us there. Now, I did sit there and give it this preface of how long do we give him? You got to all-star break, my boy. I'm going to just keep it a buck with you. You got to all-star break. By all-star break, if I don't see no major changes and how this team looks, how these lineups look, and all that stuff, because we got Andre Drummond back. We got Vooch back. We got P. Will talking about he putting in work. We got Io talking about, hey, I'm gunning to this lineup. Like, so be on the, like, we got people with the right attitudes coming in, putting on their hard hat, trying to go to work. We have the talent. I don't care what nobody says, that we have enough talent to make big noise in the East. I'm not saying that we're going to lead the conference. I'm not going to say we're going this, but we got enough talent to win our division for sure. Like, that's no question. I think we do have enough talent. You got to all-star break. I say right before 30 games. I'll be honest with you, 30 games in, realistically. I don't know if that's all-star break. I don't care if it's 30 games in. At 30 games, I need to see something, because at that point, at least it's still enough games for me to salvage the season and make a playoff push. 30 games is what you get if I'm any one of the Bulls brass. By 30 games, if you don't show up and show out for me, or if this lineup don't make sense, if it's clear that you're not if it's any question that it's not you and that is still something wrong with this roster, 30 games is your behind. If it's me, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Mainly because I shouldn't keep having in question my coach. Nah, my coach, my coach should be solid. I don't need that. I need to know what these dudes gonna do. I need to understand who's not performing well. I don't need anything when it comes down to X and O's, leading a group of men and stuff like that. That's not the type of issues you want, and that's not what you need if you have championship aspirations, which is what we do. But I want to hear your thoughts, man. How many games do you give Billy D? How many games is it going to take for you to be like, all right, dog, it's time to go? Put it in the comment. I'm going to have a poll go up for it as well on the community tab. Y'all go ahead and answer there as well. But also jump in these comments. I want to get an in-depth look as to how y'all feel about it. Because at the end of the day, we running it back. We going to have to live with it. And hopefully it's a good product that hits the floor. But again, y'all know who I am. Y'all know what I do. Till next time, man. Peace.